On today's episode of the College Football Hall of Fame Screwed the Pooch, Mike Leach is not a first ballot inductee. I'm going to say that again. Mike Leach, the innovator of the air raid offense, everyone's favorite college football quote, the man who captivated our hearts by talking about what mascot would win in a battle and revolutionized college football for the better, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer because of a technicality, to which we all can say at the exact same time in unison, the College Football Hall of Fame is wrong, and they need to find a way to make sure that this man is going to get his flowers. So let's talk about it. What's going on, SEC Unfiltered? It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification, and subscribe down below because we're talking about our favorite sport every day leading up to week 1 and well throughout the chaotic 2024 season. Make sure that also you follow us on all the social media channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. If you want to follow me, I'm at Mr. Cole Thompson, and I'm also at Mr. Cole Thompson on my own YouTube channel. Make sure that also, if you go download the podcast version of the show, leave a 5-star review, help get the numbers up, and to keep up with the #1 content surrounding the #1 conference, make sure you visit SECUnfiltered.com. This episode's brought to you by RHOBACK. Use promo code SECU for 20% off all joggers, polos, hoodies, and shorts. SECU for 20% off at RHOBACK.com. A technicality is the main reason why Mike Leach, who tragically passed away far too young and left so much on the table at Mississippi State for what would have been not only one of the most dynamic, dominant programs in the near future, but also just a lot of fun down in Stark Vegas. Tragically passed away, cannot get into the Hall of Fame because of a technicality, a bylaw, you could say, by those in Atlanta, saying to get into the Hall of Fame or even be considered, you have to have a 60% winning rate. Mike Leach's winning rate is at 59.6, which means before his tragic passing, if he just would have coached in the bowl game, the ReliaQuest Bowl, just in favor, instead of being honored that day, winning it with the pirate ship in the background, he would have had enough wins to be qualified. Are we really going to be this way? Are we really going to do this? Because Mike Leach, honestly, is more than just a football guru that has transcended the sport. His legacy still resides everywhere in the industry these days. It's not just, in fact, that we talk about him in such a positive, high-profile light, and more importantly, an active light, even though he has departed this earth for almost 2 years. We're talking about a guy that literally still has made an impact in the game today. In Starkville, the last place he coached, they just hired a guy by the name of Jeff Lebby. I'm not sure if any of you guys know this, but Jeff Lebby runs a similar brand of the air raid offense that made him a household name, not just at Ole Miss, but also at Oklahoma and also everywhere else that he's been to get to this point. You go look at the offense run by Lincoln Riley out in USC, he's won Heisman trophies with a certain brand and bourgeoisie of that. When you talk about a guy such as, I don't know, big game Bob Stoops, the Sooners don't win a national title in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and aren't considered one of the peak programs of the industry without Mike Leach. And then let's also talk about the fact that Mike Leach didn't get to go to these big-time programs, the Alabamas of the world, the Michigans of the world, and also you can talk about the Ohio States or maybe the Georgias. No, that wasn't his brand. That wasn't his style. That wasn't his aura. He wanted to be in places like Lubbock, Texas, or Pullman, Washington, or Starkville, Mississippi. Iowa Wesleyan was the birthplace of the offense that still is being refined today and implemented all across the country. There are so many boosters and legacies and proteges that worked underneath Mike Leach that can credit him for their offense, and it was started in Iowa Wesleyan, not in Athens, Georgia, not in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, not in Columbus, Ohio, or you're in Los Angeles, California. No, in a small cornfield out in Iowa. That's where Mike Leach became a household name. And on top of that, he reinvented programs. He transcended them. Anybody know what Washington State was before the Pirate arrived? An absolute joke, the laughingstock of the Pac-12. What we talk about with Kansas and the revitalization underneath Lance Leipold is the way that we talk about Mike Leach and what he did in Pullman. It wasn't just everyone at Woodstock taking their clothes off. No, it wasn't just Mustache Mania, Gardner Minshew. It was the entire reinventing of what became a great program. You talk about Texas Tech. You know what they were before Mike Leach came? A laughingstock. A low profile, just dirt town in the middle of Lubbock, Texas. Heat, rattlesnakes, and not a lot of wins. They had one of the biggest wins in college football history, and I'm not sure many of you remember it, but Graham Harrell's catch to Michael Crabtree, the throw, will be forever synonymous with my childhood. It'll be forever synonymous to hearing the fans of people down the street that were big Texas boosters crying their eyes out, knowing that their national championship hopes dwindled away because the Pirate got the win. Because if he was able to go ahead and clinch the victors out of the hands of Mac Brown and bring back life to Lubbock. And then you look at Starkville. That offense immediately transcended with Will Rogers for years, and they got to 9+ wins back-to-back times. He only had one down year, and it was a COVID season. We're really going to talk about that in a negative light. I don't talk about Chris Kleiman as a negative loser because of one bad year. It didn't define him, and it didn't define Mike Leach. But you know what did define Mike Leach? His pageantry, his persona, his enigma, his overall demeanor, and the fact that we still to this day cannot fathom college football without the Pirate on the sidelines. It still hurts our hearts that we know that he was taken from us too soon and that the college football gods need to have a head coach to lead their team. That's what we got. That's why they took him home. But because of one technicality, which, by the way, if you were ever taught anything in math, College Football Hall of Fame committee, you round up. So 59.6% is actually 60%. Which automatically would make him not only a qualifier for the Hall of Fame, but definitely a shoo-in to be voted by those around him. And I don't need to be a guy with a microphone talking about this. You hear other people, big-time prominent figures, mentioning what Mike Leach does for the industry. How about Bob Stoops going on Twitter, of all places? And yeah, I'm going to call it Twitter for the rest of my life. He's the one now saying, my offense would have never been the same without the Pirate. Lincoln Riley's gone on to rant. You've heard countless coach after coach after coach. You've heard commissioners from the past. You've heard people everywhere talk about Mike Leach. And the big thing about him is that he's not an SEC guy. He's an everywhere guy. You could find him out in the middle of Florida at a bar, sitting on a stand, drinking a Mai Tai. You could find him out in Pullman, Washington, enjoying life in the trees. You could find him in a classroom where he spoke and taught classes, actual lectures about piracy. You could find him on a sideline in the middle of Iowa. Anywhere, Mike Leach has been there. And here's the big thing of all. We know that change is inevitable. It's a big part of life. But where in the rule book does it say that you can't make a change? It's like in the rule book last year when people said Florida State belongs in the college football playoff because Florida State was undefeated and they did this the right way. Where does it say an undefeated team has to get into the postseason? Where? It doesn't. It's just been normal because of the teams have been good enough to get there. But that doesn't mean that you're guaranteed a spot in the Final Four. In the dozen dance, yeah, probably, which again is a big reason why I hate it. But that's not the point. The point is that there's no rule that says you can't go change it. What is the rule that says we can't make changes to the book that would allow a guy like Mike Leach in? It's like the Stetson Bennett argument. Because he doesn't have certain resume numbers that guarantees that he's not a Hall of Famer. You win 2 national championships at a program like Georgia for the first time in 4 decades and beat out 5-star quarterbacks that are heralded and resounded for their recruiting aspects as a walk-on. Yeah, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer if I've ever seen one. That's one of the greatest stories that have ever existed in college football. And there we go to my final point that I can bring up with Mike Leach and making the College Football Hall of Fame. Tell the story of college football in its entirety without the Pirate. Go ahead. I'll wait. I'll gladly wait because you can't do it. The game has changed for the better because Mike Leach was involved with it. And just because that there's a certain ruling that doesn't allow people to say what that's really on their mind, it doesn't mean that he doesn't belong. In fact, once again, I'm very pro on this one. Stetson Bennett doesn't get in the Hall of Fame. There is no Hall of Fame in my book. It's just a hall full of a bunch of winners that really didn't matter. If Mike Leach is not in the Hall of Fame, what's the point of even having a Hall of Fame? It's to honor those who have truly revolutionized the game of college football. How can you not say that Mike Leach did that? And then some. How can you not say to this day, you don't miss your favorite uncle-loving Pirate? One day he will get in the Hall of Fame. And hopefully we all get to be there in Atlanta when he gets the flowers that he's finally owed. But let me know in the comment section down below. Is it egregious that Mike Leach by one One win is not going to get into the Hall. Make sure that also you hit the subscribe button and the ring notification. That way you don't miss a single episode of SECU. Follow us on all the social media channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. You want to follow me on my own YouTube channel, it's at Mr. Cole Thompson. And to keep up with the #1 content surrounding your favorite team, visit SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, I am Cole Thompson. Later!